criticize a resource person in a committee hearing for not telling the truth, we should also apply the same treatment to somebody facing the Commission on Appointments. Second, it only shows that the Commission on Appointments will not be a rubber stamp of the Executive Department. We all know how close Attorney Yasay is to the President. And it did not deter the Commission from acting independently. And because in the view of the majority, at least all the members, because nobody objected, that he was not telling the truth, he was not being forthright. In the question and answer portion of the hearings, the two hearings that we conducted, we decided to reject his ad interim appointment.
Sir, sa botohan, lahat ang mayaw.
It was unanimous.
Unanimous.
Well, you heard naman the presiding officer. He asked if there was any objection, and nobody objected. So, it is deemed unanimous.
So, hindi na siya pwedeng i-reappoint ng Pangulo?
No, he cannot be reappointed anymore because na-reject na ng Commission on Appointments.
Sir, kahit saan nga position din na siya pwedeng
or ibang department?
It depends. Kasi kung may magpapail ng kaso at mapuprove na he is not qualified to be a government official, then he cannot be appointed. But sabi ko nga, yung commission is not the ultimate forum, di ba? Because there's a process to determine finally kung siya ba a US citizen. Hindi naman para sa commission, but hindi rin ma-i-deny na kami yung nag-determine ng fitness and qualification. And sa pag-iisip ng mga miyembro ng commission, he's not qualified being a US citizen.
So who will file the perjury?
Anybody, any taxpayer can file a perjury
But not
case.
the CA, sir?
No, I don't think the CA will resort to filing a perjury case against him. You can file if you want.
Even yung
Mga media.
Member yung CA, sir?
Well, any member of the CA, any taxpayer, pwede naman mag-file ng perjury. Kasi kung taxpayer ka, aggrieved party ka.
But so far the commission does not intend.
No, we are not contemplating.
So what's the strongest reason for reject?
Yun nga, he wasn't telling the truth.
Sir, hindi bumenta yung sinasabi niya na invalid at voluntarily
Hindi, kasi
disqualify niya.
sabi ko, the best evidence are the documents, yung records. Kasi kung ang records would contradict what you're saying, even if you're under oath, then your testimony won't carry weight against the records. Okay?
Based on amendment ng rules kahapon, hindi na siya pwede ma-reappoint for the same.
No, whether or not adopted yung rules, he cannot be appointed being a US citizen. And he cannot be reappointed as Secretary of Foreign Affairs having been rejected by the Commission.
Pero sir, renounced na siya, di ba, noong February 2017?
Well, it depends on the President. If he wants to give him another position, bahala sila. But yun nga, it's a question of qualification.
Sir, on death penalty lang, sir, yung overwhelming vote sa House kahapon, does that somehow pressure the Senate?
No, there's no pressure on the senators at all. We will vote on the basis of our belief, our conviction, and kung ano yung inakala naming tama sa aming desisyon.
Optimistic kayong lulusot kung drug trafficking?
Ako, ang bilang ko mukhang malabo sa Senado.
Sir, bakit?
Yun ang bilang ko mental calculation ko based on my informal discussion with some of my colleagues. Mukhang sa bilang hindi abot ng 12.
Kahit drug trafficking lang, sir?
Hindi ko alam, basta't yun ang bilang ko lang.
Sir, si Yasay, that could also be charged of reservation of
Well, that's also one possible case that may be filed against him kasi if he was performing his job, his duty, wherein hindi naman talaga siya qualified and alam niya hindi siya qualified, then he could be charged.
So was he also informed after the vote?
No, I think he's still in the office of the Senate President. But the Senate President asked me kung ano yung outcome ng botohan, and I informed him that 15 of the 18 members of the committee have unanimously voted to reject. So, hindi na siya pinababa.
During the executive session, wala nang discussion because 10 minutes lang yata.
Hindi. Meron din naman. Siyempre, kailangan bilangin mo yung boto.
Sir, pa-elaborate na lang yung sinabi niyo, he's not telling the truth. Ano yung sa sinabi niya yung tingin yung kasinungalingan?
Sinabi niya, hindi siya naging US citizen. Nung una, sinabi niya pa nga, hindi siya nagkaroon ng US passport. Diba?
Sir, kailan po yung last time na nag-reject ng
I cannot remember. Since I joined the Senate two terms ago, wala pa akong narinig na nag-move for rejection.
Sir, paano yung process?
And then, may na-reject, I think, si late Senator Miriam and another one, yung sa Dar.
So he has to vacate now his position, sir?
Yes, definitely.
Today?
Well, because he's been rejected. He was just rejected, so he will have to vacate his position. And the President should appoint even in an acting capacity. Meron naman succession eh. There is a senior undersecretary who can take over his place.
Applicable na yun today, sir, no? So wala nang DFA secretary.
That's official, that's fine.
Dapat tomorrow hindi na siya secretary.
Effective
Ngayon.
today, effective after the
Sir,
rejection.
pinabisuhan niyo po ba siya na huwag nila pumunta ngayon?
Si Senate President ang nagsabi sa kanya.
Nagsagawa naman ng executive session ang Commission on Appointments para desisyonan kung kukumpirmahin ba o ire-reject ang appointment kay Foreign Affairs Secretary Perfecto Yasay. Pero bago po yan, muling nag-isa si Yasay tungkol sa kanyang citizenship. May ulat on the spot si Jam Sisante. Jam?
Tapos Connie, inaabangan pa ngayon ng pag-anunsyo ng Commission on Appointments Committee on Foreign Affairs kung kinumpirma ba nila o nireject ang appointment ni Foreign Secretary Perfecto Yasay na question ng histo ukol sa kanyang citizenship. Nag-executive session ng mga miyembro ng komite kung saan nag-decision sila sa appointment ni Yasay pero mamaya pa ito i-anunsyo PA plenary. Bago sila mag-executive session, dinikdik ni Occidental Mindoro Representative Josephine Ramirez Sato si Yasay ukol sa kanyang citizenship. Umamin kasi si Yasay na nag-grant ang kanyang application para sa US citizenship noong November 26, 1986 at dahil dito, binigyan siya ng Certificate of Naturalization at US passport. Pero giit ni Yasay, invalid ang US citizenship na binigay sa kanya dahil meron siyang intensyon na bumalik sa Pilipinas para manirahan dito, nalabag daw sa US Immigration and Nationality Law. Nagpadala daw siya ng affidavit noong 1993 kung saan sinasabi niyang null and void ang kanyang US citizenship. Humingi ng paamin si Yasay para sa hindi pagsabi nito sa CA sa pagdinig nitong Pebrero. Pero si Sato, hindi raw maintindihan kung bakit hindi inaamin ni Yasay na naging US citizen siya, kayong binigyan nga siya ng Certificate of Naturalization at US passport. Question niya kung sapat ba ang pagdeklara ni Yasay mismo na null and void ang kanyang US citizenship upang mawala ang binigay sa kanyang citizenship ng Amerika. Dagdag pa ni Sato na lang si Yasay sa listahan ng US government ng mga dating citizen noong February 2017. Kaya tingin ng mababatas, nag-misrepresent si Yasay ng kanyang sarili nung tumakbo siya para sa iba't ibang posisyon sa gobyerno, kabilang sa pagka-vice president noong 2010 dahil US citizen pa raw siya noong panahong ito. Tumindigan naman si Yasay na kahit kailan ay hindi nawala ang Filipino citizenship niya at wala siyang prosesong pinagdaanan upang muling makuha ito sa kabila ng pagbigay sa kanya ng US citizenship.
Foreign Affairs Secretary Perfecto Yasay was confronted with questions about his citizenship when he faced the Commission on Appointments or CA Wednesday morning. This after an online news article revealed that his name was in the list of U.S. Internal Revenue Service or IRS of individuals who lost their citizenship. According to Yasay, it is not true that he is a U.S. citizen and owns a U.S. passport except his wife and kids. He applied for naturalization but he was disqualified. Nevertheless, he decided to undergo renunciation in 1993 to ensure there would be no impediments when he joined the government.
Yeah. Wala namang pagbabawal ang isang Secretary of Foreign Affairs na yung misis niya ay American citizen. At inaamin ko naman na yung aking asawa ay American citizen. Yung aking namang issue on whether or not I am a Filipino or whether or not I am an American, I only submitted all of my evidences to the committee and I have already established to them on the basis of these documentations that I am a Filipino and I am not an American.
Meanwhile, the secretary was also asked about the administration's position on West Philippine Sea. He admitted it will take time before it gets resolved. But this does not mean that we are backing off from our claim. Despite this, Yasay pointed out that this is not the sum total of the relationship of the Philippines and China. That's why the government is working hard to have better ties with China in other aspects for the interest of Filipinos.
I'd like to assure you, it is on this basis that we are engaging diplomacy with China. We know that there is no solution insofar as our steadfast position in saying that we will only engage China in bilateral negotiations within the framework of the arbitral tribunal's decision. And China, on the other hand, insisting that they will only engage us in bilateral talks if it will be outside of that arbitral tribunal's decision. And so, rather than engage ourselves in a shooting war or enforcing our position by force and violence, which we have committed not to do, we have decided to set this aside because that is not the sum total of our relationship, but then pursue the other aspects of our relationship where there is convergence of mutual interest, and this is what we're trying to pursue in carrying out the paramount national interest of our country as we pursue an independent foreign policy.
Meanwhile, about the rumored plan of the president to replace him, Yasay said this is the chief executive's prerogative, but so far, he has not gotten any directive from him regarding it. Aside from this, Yasay's point of view on how to better serve Filipinos in death row or facing other problems abroad was also sought. CA suspended his appointment deliberation and scheduled to continue it in March since its members still have many questions to ask. For PTV